this was the weirdest, most vivid dream I've had. I had a very vivid dream that he was pregnant. Like, I remember in my dream, I was like, what the heck?
Welcome to the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grutman. And if you are a high-achieving woman, a successful entrepreneur, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just a woman with kick-ass big dreams, you're in the right place. If you value your energy, your health, if you want to be a biohacker, tap into longevity, if you want to raise the impact you have in this lifetime, you're gonna have a lot of fun around here. As a second-time seven-figure business creator, certified health practitioner, and soul biohacker, I'm here to reconnect you to your energy, to the soul of your business, and to your superpowers. Let's go. Welcome home.
Welcome back to another episode of the Energy Upgrade, live from our couch. Literally, It's Valentine's Day. We decided to spend the afternoon, it's Friday, the afternoon together to connect. And here I am, completely makeup-free, greasy hair, on the couch with our cozy blanket. And we thought, let's just turn the mic on because our conversation was just so good. So thank you, Phil, for being with me. If you're watching on YouTube, I apologize in advance. You get to see this raw...
You're talking about me, right?
No,
my stuff.
I really talk about me. You always look good. So Phil's here today because we were talking about the shift he recently experienced, and I feel like we've had this conversation in stages on the podcast. You've come first when you left your corporate job after 23 years being an actuary. You came to talk about that. Then I think 6 months later, we kind of did an update, how your transition into this world that is a lot less structured, let's call it like that, to see how that was going. And now we are almost a year?
Almost, yeah.
And it feels like, and I have felt that in you, it feels like now it's locked in.
I think so.
And what shifted for you, and I'm going to let you speak, but I think what was one of the big thing that was happening was your, as men, I often talk about as women what we've been conditioned to, but as men have also been conditioned to provide financially. That's really the big thing, the big pressure that you guys have to hold, that you're the ones that are keeping the money, that are providing the money. And that was hard for you to have to shift.
Yeah. Totally. Because when I'm looking back since we've been together, I was the main provider to some extent. I'm not minimizing who you were, but it was kind of and that was my mission, right? I'm the main provider. I'm the one bringing the money. I'm the one striving for promotions, going up the corporate ladder, right? Just to get more. Of course, I was challenged by all of these promotions and trying to go up the ladder, but it was also it was coming with money, right? It was always kind of money driven, to be honest. And I remember always telling you, Vanessa, you do whatever you want. I'm the safety net. It's all good, right? Whatever you do, it's going to be fine, right? If things are not going the way you were expecting, that's fine. I can cover all the expenses. It's all good. We're good. So when I made that shift last year, it was kind of the first time I was kind of not the safety net anymore. You're actually giving me a salary now, which is a big shift, right? But yeah, it's very recently that all of a sudden the shift really happened. I did a lot of work for sure, but all of a sudden it was but if I don't connect everything I do with money, but I make sure that I'm holding the fort, so Vanessa can be in her zone of genius all the time. When you do your coaching, when you do your lives, when you do your podcast. Let's say I'm taking care of the kids on a Saturday morning because you have a coaching call or something, right? This is where I can contribute, right? This is my way of contributing going forward. And I was who cares about the money? It's gonna happen. It's gonna come, right? Because you are in your zone, and I am in my zone too. So that was kind of finally, it took almost a year,
But basically what happened is we took the money out of the equation because money is just energy anyway. And so you thought, okay, so I'm used to providing financially, but what if instead I was just providing? What if I was providing safety? What if I was providing, the shell? What if, like you said, what if I was holding the fort? What if my contribution, my way of providing was actually in holding the container so that my family can thrive, so that the legacy can be built? And that's kind of what shifted. And in parallel, in your role in the business where you're really behind the scenes, like you're doing all the automations, seriously, you guys, everything that you see me being successful at, everything that you see me nail, whether it's an event, a launch, a live, a podcast, Phil's always something to do with it in the back end. But you never really get the credit for it because you're behind the scenes.
Behind the scene, yeah.
And so what was really interesting is, maybe we can just say last week we had a reading with a psychic we've been working on for
so long, right?
I mean, 7 years, I think. And she's been involved in literally every move we've made. She's the cause for a lot of it. A lot of my clients are going to laugh at this because I've recommended her to them as well, so they know exactly who I'm talking about. So we had a call with her last week, and she was like, it's so clear. Phil, you're back of the house. Vanessa, you're front of the house. Without the back of the house, the front of the house can't work. Without the front of the house, the back of the house is useless. And it's the yin and the yang. It's all of it is so important. And I know that hearing that in that way was such a visual cue for you. You were like, and the whole energy shifted after that call.
I think so, yeah.
You were like, okay, I can see myself doing that. I can see myself contributing. I can see how I add value outside of the money. And I can see that when I add value like that, money is coming.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, there was like a big shift. It's almost like it's something I knew, but coming from her, and you told me so many times, but it was just like, it's almost like, when it's a stranger, the impact, just like with the kids, right?
Yeah.
Like if we have something, then, whatever. And then if it comes from the teacher or from someone else, like, suddenly do it, right? But it was all of a sudden, everything kind of became so clear that, this is my zone. This is where I thrive. This is where I like to be. Not that I don't like to be front of the house, like here and there, yes, but I like to be behind the scene. I like to contribute like in a different way as you do. I don't have that natural touch of like you are, right? Like in front of the camera, and you like it. And I know it's not always like easy, but it's just, you're just
more natural.
More natural, exactly. For me, it's more a little bit of an effort. It's just like when you said, how about we do a podcast now? I was like, what are you talking about? And it was just like,
I just brought the camera and the tripod. He's like, what's happening? I'm like, this is so good. We need to bring people in. And he's like, wait, what? Like, you're going to ask me questions? And I'm like, just trust me.
But I think that, so the whole point is that there's nothing wrong about being the one supporting, not financially, but supporting in so many other aspects of our lives, right? Our family is so important. Our bubble is so important. And when I see the kids thriving, because like, I know that I drove them around and I took care of this and that, and I helped Sophia with some map, and Thomas building something, well, the impact is massive, right? But there was no money involved in all of this. It was not like Phil brought this kind of money over.
But when you're doing that, for example, and I'm in the middle of a launch, or when and I can do my launch without any guilt because I know that you're taking care of the kids and you're not mad about it, there's also a clean energy there. I can be all in and provide and be of service, and you are all in and holding the fort. And that's really this masculine, feminine energy. And I wanted to bring that forward because it's, as much as I say it's time to break the patriarchal way to success, it's also time to shift, this responsibility on men, because men also have a lot of pressure to provide financially. And I know that it's hard in a lot of couples because there's an unnecessary pressure there too. So when we take the money out of it, it's interesting what happens. And then suddenly you just have been falling in love with creating automations, and you're just so good at it now.
To make it like faster, better, stronger.
Now you're like so focused on optimization on the business. You can see that you can see your impact. You can see the things you're implementing, how it's like making everybody's life easier, how it's impacting our customers in a better way. And it's just so nice to see. And you're like, oh, guess what I was able to do? I've cracked the code on this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, amazing. We were wasting so much time on that. So all of that adds up, and it allows us to each be honoring what we bring to the table, as opposed to fighting for who's at the top, or like we're both at the top. We're both creating this legacy together. And yes, I'm forward facing, and yes, it's my face, but you're touching everything behind it. Like retreats, for example.
Yeah.
You do everything. So anybody who's come to the retreats, and by the way, shameless plug, we have 2 spots left for our April retreat, the FAM retreat in Mexico, which is out of this world extraordinary. If you're looking to reconnect to your heart, to your power, if you're wanting some healing, but also just like reignition, big time. But you're doing everything behind the scenes, like from like what we are eating at every meal. Like you are planning everything, because I'm not good in the micro. I mean, I'm good, I can do it, but it's not as effortless as you. And when I speak about following the energy first and then doing the strategies, that's what I mean. And I love that you're kind of figuring this out as well for you.
Yeah, totally.
Like for you, it's effortless. You love doing this stuff. You
negotiating, like going back and forth with different providers, trying to get some, perks and stuff like for your clients. It's fun for me, right? Like I don't feel this is work.
And you're like,
this is cute.
Oh, I can't wait for the women to experience this. I was able to negotiate this thing, and like you're really like you're really a good host. Also, like customer service has always been important to you.
Yeah.
So, like you're following that energy, and it's like awesome. Take it away, have fun, and then each of us can thrive and grow in that.
And there's something you mentioned going back like a couple of minutes ago where you said, let's say I look after the kids, and maybe you'll feel a disconnect while I'm bringing this up now, but the mindset when you look after the kid has to be you're happy to do it. It's not like, me again? Oh yeah, because you have to do your podcast. Like when you were saying like it's all about the headspace where you're at, because I'm so happy to be able to provide in a different way that during this time you don't need to worry about anything, that you can be like all in your launch and your podcast and whatever you're doing. And I'm so happy to be with the kids during this time, because I feel like a few months ago sometimes I would be like, okay, no, but I have other stuff to do, right? Like, why would you want me to stay with the kids now? Like, and then you hear us like yelling at each other while you're trying to focus on your stuff, and the energy is horrible in the house. And I was the cause for part of it, right? But it was just communication between the two of us, right? Like, let's make sure we're on the same page, and how can I? So my point is more like going back to what you said, like I'm not pissed about it, right? I'm happy to contribute, and it's such a different way, but it took me like a little bit of a shift, like mindset shift, right?
A lot of books.
Yeah, a lot of books, a lot of
inner work. You did some inner work.
Yeah.
I mean, we both did. We continue to do it. And I love that you brought this up, because I have so many clients who bring this up in our calls, where they're like, how can I feel supported by my husband? And to the point that often they're wondering if he's the right one, if he's going to ever be able to understand why they have this level of ambition and why they feel so called by this big mission. Because of course, men can feel triggered, or even, what's the right word? not scared, but
diminished or
they might feel like I'm the one that's supposed to be having the big dreams. I'm the one that's supposed to go for it. Like, why are you leaving me behind? And that's how you felt at first. And it's like, it's really recent that, it's amazing.
If money feels inconsistent, stressful, or just harder than it should be, then your energy is what's out of alignment. You don't make money anymore. We know that this is an endless loop leading to burnout. You attract money. And if your energetic field isn't calibrated for this type of wealth, then no strategy will work the way it should. That's why I created the Money Energy Bundle, the key to unlocking this more feminine way of connecting and being a match for abundance. This is how I've been able to build my business from 0 to 1 million in cash in less than 17 months. Inside this bundle, you'll get 3 exclusive powerful masterclasses on wealth energetics, all the things you need to know and be aware of. But in order for you to also integrate this learning, I'm also including an energy clearing activation to clear any old blocks around money, as well as a wealth meditation to help you rewire your frequency and your money story. But also, all of this bundle is going to be there to help you expand your capacity to not only receive, but hold money. Because believe it or not, money wants to come into your life right now. But are you in a contracted state? Are you allowing it to come in? What I know now is that money flows to women who know how to hold it. You can grab instant access to the Money Energy Bundle for just $111 for a limited time only. You can grab the link in the show notes or DM me on Instagram the word money, and I will send you all the information to get started. I hope to see you in there.
So if any of you listening saw my Instagram story when I shared my I've been having the most vivid, weird dreams, but I'm talking about...
Oh, please don't go there.
I need to go there. Every morning I wake up and I have a story. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And 2 or 3 nights ago, I woke up, I was like, Phil, you're not going to believe this one. This was the weirdest, most vivid dream I've had so far. I had a very vivid dream that he was pregnant, okay? And I was, I remember in my dream, I was like, what the heck? He was so pregnant and it just kind of dropped in. You know, when those dreams where there's no context, it just drops in. Here's Phil pregnant and having contractions. And I remember the kids were around me and we're scrambling, trying to prepare the hospital bag. And of course we have no baby stuff left in the house. And I'm like, what the heck? We weren't supposed to have another baby. What is this thing? And I'm like, we need to get this baby out. I can remember that in my dream, that's all I was panicking about because all I was seeing was your big tummy contractions. And I'm like, how is this going to come out? And so I was like, we got to go to the hospital. And I was panicking. And in my dream, you went to Costco with my parents. And I was like, what the heck? We need to, I was so mad at you for creating this, I'm like.
Not feeling the sense of urgency.
Yeah, I'm like, you got to go to the hospital. I don't know how the heck this baby needs to come out. And somehow then it just flashes to another scene. And there's this boy, 4 years old, sitting on the hospital bed. He looks kind of like Thomas, so cute, and he's smiling, and it's like, oh, everything's fine. And I woke up and I was trying to make sense of this. And by the way, if anybody here has vivid dreams, I was given this recommendation to put your dreams in ChatGPT for interpretation. And at first I was like, what? It blew my mind. And what it said was that the fact that I saw you pregnant was a very clear representation that you are going through this identity rebirth, that you are going through this big energy shift, that there was going to be, and we had big changes happening in our life. And that's a conversation for another day because we do. But wasn't it crazy?
Yeah, I was happy that ChatGPT said that I'm not pregnant. That was not like I'm carrying a real baby. It was like a good first confirmation. But no, but it was.
Oh my gosh.
To read what you did, like a cut and paste of ChatGPT, and was like, okay, that's very interesting. It's pretty much aligned with what we're going through right now. A big shift, like a big projects, big. But
Seeing a shift in your role, in your contribution. That's what it said, and
but also like there was like maybe you don't feel like I feel the sense of urgency on some of the stuff, but at the end to see this little boy all happy and everything, it's almost like, yeah, but trust me, we're gonna get there. It's gonna be fine, right?
You're gonna get there in a pinch. You're not even gonna notice it, and it's all gonna be fine. So interesting. Definitely, we're in this big shift energy, and I just love it.
Yeah, me too. No, it's a fun ride. Like a few podcasts later, like I'm like some highs, some lows. I feel like the highs and the lows are higher and the highs are higher. So it's very interesting.
The average is higher than that means as an actuary, we're talking.
I feel like but I mean the low is getting higher, and it's just that it's going up, right? So, and I really felt that shift like over the last week or so, and yeah, if you're listening to this and your husband is struggling sometime, doesn't feel like he has an ex, I did some work. I did some,
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I gave you many books.
Yeah.
I always say to Phil, I can't coach you because it doesn't work. But I give him resources, and I'm like, this is your own path. I can't force it on you. You got to figure it out. So I gave you a bunch of books, but I think one that was big for you is the one that's called Men's Work. The black book?
It was a good one. But also the one I'm reading right now, Do This, Don't No.
That's Dr. Axe.
Not that, something like that, right? Josh Axe. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of stuff, similarities, and the
overlap.
Yeah, overlap, and the books that you're choosing for me. You're reading for me. But it's funny because I was like, hey, I'm almost done with this book, so I'm not sure what's next. And it's kind of my way to send you a message. Like if you see something or you hear of something like that can be a good read. But yeah, it's all these books combined together. Like I'm not saying it's more one than the other. It's just a combo of all these books and thriving entrepreneur, but at the same time, I'm not the entrepreneur. And I feel like here, but it's just to open my eyes that there's so many ways to contribute, right? Like the old model of like you said at the beginning, the intro, that you have to bring the money, you have to bring the food on the table, you have to. No, it's there's so many other ways, non-traditional ways of like bringing to your family and shifting that energy, that everything will be so much smoother and better than just forcing things or being pissed every time you ask them to do something. And no, it's just
bottom line is it comes up to communication, but it comes up to also healing our own triggers, because the way we react it has nothing to do with the other person, but it's so hard to understand that when you're in it. We still get caught in it always. And it's normal, it's part of the journey. But you did a lot of EMDR. I did some EMDR at the same time. Yeah. EMDR is, the eye movement. And so we're able to figure out where in the brain we have the initial trauma that created that response. So we use a trigger. So a trigger from today. So, I was so mad when she said that, or, there was something for you around the need for validation and that need of providing. And okay, where's this coming from? Because it has nothing to do with Vanessa. She's just activating something that's old. So let's find where it's coming from, and let's move it from the subconscious to a different part of the brain so that you're aware of it and you can be in control of it and you can choose not to activate it. So it's not as
a trigger anymore. Yeah.
It's not a trigger anymore. It just is. And you're like, oh, here it is again, moving on. And that was huge for both of us to do those sessions separately.
Yeah.
And it all takes time. This is the other thing, is like life has life goes on and it has its own way. And then suddenly we're like, oh, we're not reacting to this as much. Or, oh, we're able to know when it's time for ourselves to have a timeout, or we know, okay, I need some me time here. Or so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of work over the last year, I would say. Like this was more like on a fast-paced environment because before that I would say I was like so into my comfort zone, and the thing too is like, thanks for pushing me in outside of my comfort zone all the time. I mean, but seriously, it's just because it's so easy to stay where you're at. Of course, sometimes you jump, you don't know where you're heading, and it's scary and everything, and you have to do some work, and but then you look back and you're so happy to do it. And that's one of the things, like you mentioned, the first book you mentioned was all about like getting out of your comfort zone. And getting out of your comfort zone doesn't mean for me, and that was probably the thing at the beginning, it was like, okay, so you mean that I need to be a coach too? I need to be like you? No, it means like, no, you need to learn new skills, new things where you feel like you can contribute. And you talk about automation, operations, that kind of stuff. I like doing this, right? But it was just trying to
you had to learn all the new systems, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
Scary at first. This is where you see that, okay, I was not learning that much new stuff anymore, right? I was just riding my life in my comfort zone pretty much, right? So
here's the thing.
Steps.
We weren't unhappy.
No.
And that's, because a lot of people maybe listening have been following us for a while. Like, we were happy. Like, we documented the reno we did in this house, and we were rolling along. But it's interesting how when you start doing this inner work, there's always a new level that unlocks that you're like, how did I function without this? And that's where it keeps getting more and more interesting. And I'm doing this up on purpose because, yes, it's deeper work, but it's ascension work, meaning we're getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I was saying to him just before we started recording, I feel like we are living in a parallel reality. We are creating a parallel reality. And I'm serious, because we have done so much work that we are so clear on what we want to do, what we want to bring forward. And like, whatever's happening on the news, whatever's happening with politics, whatever's happening in the sky, I'm just looking, whatever's happening in the economy, it's actually not our reality. Like, we are, like I always say, our thoughts create our reality. And we've done so much work now that we're able to stay in a higher frequency than most people. And the reality that we get out of this is just so different. Like, when we talk to our families, when we talk to our friends, it's like, oh, I don't experience that. Like, we don't have that. Like, and it's not that we're better than anybody else. It's just because we have done so much work, the clarity and the vision is so clear, then we just don't get stuck in the mud anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like we're lighter. We're trained not to be aligned with energy that doesn't align with where we want to be, right? Like, because it's so easy to go deep into the news and politics and everything that is happening in the world. It's the end of the world. But at the end of the day, once again, our life is here. Like, it's our friends, yes. It's our family, yes. But it's our kids. It's our,
it's our bubble.
Right?
Yeah.
You've mastered strategy. You've done the mindset work. So why does scaling your business still feel so heavy? Your energy is your business. If your body, nervous system, and wealth frequency aren't calibrated for the level you're trying to step into, then success will always feel like this uphill battle. This is why I created Femme Biohacker, a 12-month coaching experience where we merge energy, business, and biohacking so you can scale without burning out, without forcing or hustling. Inside, you'll learn to optimize your body, expand your wealth capacity, upgrade your identity, and follow energy alignment so that success can flow as you know it should.
If you're ready to build a business that matches your energy and unlocks your feminine energy, then it's time to step into Femme Biohacker. You can learn more in the link in bio or DM me on Instagram the word FAM, and I will send you all the details to get you started. Together, let's make feminine success feel supernatural like it should be.
And once again, it's not that we're trying to isolate ourselves from the external world, but it's just sometimes we feel like everything is done by design too. So you're in fear all the time. Everything is like the end, and it's always negative. And then once you start shifting away, moving away from that energy, negative energy, and this is where you feel like, you know what, maybe there's some stuff happening right now, but like we don't need to always be in that energy, in that vibe, in that like flow of like negative vibes coming your way all the time. So I'm not good at explaining these things, but for me, it's more like not trying to ignore that something is happening, but it's just once you understand that it's almost made by design to make you feel like fearful.
Well, the more you're in fear, the more disconnected you are to yourself,
Exactly.
The more you're giving your power away. And when you start giving your power away, you don't make the same level of decisions, you don't contribute in the same way. And so when you realize this, and you're like, well, wait a minute, we are living on like heaven on earth is here right now. We get to create our reality. We get to choose every second. We choose something by taking action or not taking action. So why don't we just choose to focus on the energy we want to see and the legacy we want to create for our children, instead of giving our power away and letting our energy being drained by things we have no control over anyway. And so it's really been like our big shift. We're just like,
thanks for explaining it, because that was what I was trying to get at. But it's just, it's those like, that shift that happened, that once again, it's not you don't care, it's just you stay away and you're not as much impacted in your
and it's not that we're like we don't have compassion, and it's not that we like you say that we don't care. It's not that. It's just every single human, and once you realize this, every single human gets to decide what they engage in or not in energy wise. Once you realize this, there's just so much empowerment and so much power back to you. And so I think that's why we're excited for the chapter ahead, because right now we are in this co-creation phase where we're like, okay, what is it that we really need? Like if we stopped caring about what everybody thinks and we stopped caring about what the noise out there, where we would be in the world, how would we contribute? What do we want for our children? And let's just frickin' make it happen. Like, let's just make it happen right now, because that's all we got anyway. So,
and people, they like to say life is short. You have to enjoy. But
do it. Take
right?
action. Don't just say it. Just like make it happen. And we realize that this kind of conversation may be triggering for some people who may feel stuck in their external circumstances, but we were too. But we just made bold moves. We made big decisions that we got laughed at, that people thought we were completely crazy. And there's going to be more of those. But I think the word for this year, I think I might change it. It was explosion, but I feel like I need to add unbothered. That's my word right now. I'm just like so unbothered. I've done so much work. I'm so clear on my mission. And finally, like I can see them. Finally, you're like at that level now too. And I'm like, let's freaking go. Like I'm unbothered by what others are thinking, whatever they're saying, because I know that this is going to be the best, not only for our family, but everybody is going to be touched in a positive way. Like you here on this podcast, you're going to get to have this amplified energy. You'll have first dibs, and like all my clients will have first dibs on this. And that's my goal is I want to be this pillar of light, and you want to be this pillar of light also in your own way. And we just amplify that. And that's how we get to create the change we want to see in the world, as opposed to just sitting here on the couch and complaining about it. We actually do something about it. Yeah. So this was our little impromptu conversation. Raw. From the couch, completely not in the right, I was just looking seriously, like,
Who cares?
but hey,
Beautiful.
Hopefully you got the message. Hopefully this felt like an energy transmission. Hopefully you're like, maybe you actually send it to your husband. Maybe you send it to your partner so he can also be inspired by this, because the more as couples, the more connected we are to our families. This is the most important thing, like what we get to co-create together and the impact that we have on others. And I know that if you're listening to this, you're into this kind of work. So thank you, Phil.
A pleasure.
For being vulnerable and more comfortable to have these conversations. And we will report back.
And when you said unbothered, like, yeah, your hair, who cares?
Unbothered. You're right. Stop the people pleasing.
Right.
Unbothered.
Yeah,
Look at me. Like,
my word
no
is
makeup,
Yeah,
nothing.
it's all good. And my word probably is communication. I think that's the shift, right? Like, it's just take the time, talk to your wife, talk to your spouse.
Like us, we took this Friday afternoon and we're like, we probably should do this every Friday afternoon.
I told you I have so much thing to, and like, but
So much stuff to do. And I was like, no, we're shutting it all off.
it's just my.
And look what happened. Trusting the energy. So thank you for listening. As always, if this was like a positive episode for you, either DM me, let me know, because Phil also wants to know. So let us know if that was a big shift for you. And feel free to leave us a review if you enjoyed this podcast. It's not only impacting me, it's impacting Phil too. It's impacting everybody in our team. And that helps us to keep going and bring you some high quality content and to feel really motivated to do it. So thank you for being here. I will see you next week. And thanks, Phil.
Thanks. Love you.
Yeah, me too.
The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.